I made a purchase of Apple TV just because I was interested in the show Severance, and I should say I was interested in Severance from the first season before it became this widely talked about pop culture phenomenon that everybody's making reference to on social media. I was interested in it, and I wanted to see season two. So I got Apple TV, and I'll probably cancel it pretty soon. But while I have it, it's giving me a chance to peruse a few other things. And one of the shows that's on Apple TV right now just depressed me greatly. But it seemed like something that was worth talking about because the subject matter and what depressed me about it, and what is depressing about it is broadly significant, I think, in a cultural sense. The show that I'm talking about is one called Your Friends and Neighbors, and no, it's not the Neil LaBute movie from a few years ago. Some of you might remember that movie called Your Friends and Neighbors. This show doesn't have anything to do with that, but it's the same title. And it's about this guy who's the main character is John Hamm, who was on the show about Mad Men. He was on the show Mad Men, which I never saw, but everybody else did. And so he's like he's like a hunky getting up there in age, pushing 50 now, but still definitely easy on the eyes if you're inclined that way. And but the thing is, the show absolutely humiliates his character, and maybe that's part of what I thought was interesting about it. What kept me watching, even though I don't know if I'm going to continue watching. But it was what made me somewhat interested in the first two episodes that are available to watch right now. The character that he plays is some hotshot on Wall Street, who makes a ton of money and gets married and has kids, and then builds up this leverage, builds up this career, and then it all falls apart on him. He comes home one day to find his wife is in bed with his best friend, and the coding is amazing. The coding of the best friend cuckolding him. They never make this into an explicit issue, but in a mostly white cast, his best friend is a black guy and a professional basketball player. That's the guy who cuckolds him. That cuckolds this good-looking white guy on Wall Street. Afterwards, he just he loses his house. He has to move out of his nice house, even though it was his money that was paying for it. I guess that's just the reality of things these days, the reality of divorce. Even though his money was paying for it, and even though it was his wife who committed adultery that broke up the marriage, and they have 2 kids also. One's in his early teens. There's a girl in her later teens. And now it's a couple of years later, and the man who cuckolded him is still living, basically living with his, or still together with his wife. and he only gets to see the kids every other day, and then his boss, his asshole boss, screws him over, finds some pretext to use against him, because after his divorce, he had a one night stand with this younger woman who worked for the same company but was not in his chain of command. So there was nothing inappropriate as far as, she wasn't, she didn't stand to gain anything by sleeping with him. But the boss, when he found out about it, just because he had designs on taking what John Hamm's character had created, he just ruthlessly moves in for the kill and uses this, this office fraternizing, sexual harassment bullshit as a pretext. And he has his whole legal team behind him. So he loses his family, he loses his job, and he's still a great looking guy. He's still going around. He's still got a couple of women that he's sleeping with regularly. The apartment that he's living in isn't a bad place. Everything's pretty opulent. It's like upstate New York, where they all live, and nice houses everywhere, very very upscale. And yet this guy is just, even though this is like this is not a low status man, but even he is losing everything in the new America, in the new dispensation. And the show is frustrating because it wants us to sympathize with him, but it also sort of wants us to say, oh, well, what can you do? And it sort of tries to humanize his wife and say, oh, well, yeah, she cheated on him and then took his house and now is demanding alimony and all of this stuff, and still staying with the guy that she slept with. But she's still not a bad person, and she still cares about him. And it's like, I don't want to see that. I want to see this woman get shoved in the dirt. I want to see her get humiliated. I want to see his cuckold get humiliated. I want to see his boss get kicked through the. I want to see him throw his boss out of his office, out of his 10th story office building through the window, and watch him land on the street below and explode in a cloud of blood and guts. I wanted to see revenge. And instead, he's sort of a little bitch about it. Like he sometimes he complains, and then he apologizes. Like there's a time where he voices his displeasure with what his wife has done, and what his former best friend has done, and then later he says sorry about. He actually apologizes for that. He comes home one day and finds that his 17-year-old daughter's with a 20-year-old boyfriend, and they're screwing, or they're about to screw. They're both naked, and hits the 20-year-old guy in the balls, and then he has to apologize for that, or has to say, like, no apologies. I want to see this guy kick ass. I want to see the people who put him through all of this, after he did so much for his family, did so much for his wife, did so much, to earn this to have this great life that for all of them, and they just threw it back in his face, basically. I wanted to see this guy get some respect. Well, what he ends up doing is like sort of becoming this hoodlum, or like he starts breaking into people's, like his rich friends' houses and stealing little items and selling them on the black market. It seems like it's going in that direction. Maybe he's gonna, start to get into a little more trouble. But even that aspect of it is just frustrating, because it's just not equal to what he has suffered. And it's like he just has to eat. He has to eat eat shit, and that's like the show expects us to just be okay with him eating shit, and the show expects us to say, well, his wife isn't that bad. I mean, look, she's nice in this scene. She's being nice to him in this scene. She's a psychological counselor, so she's asking him what's, we watch her being empathic with patients and everything. It's like, I don't want to see this bitch. I don't want this woman who cheated on him with his best friend in his own bed. I don't want to see her get humanized. What the hell is all that about? But it's like that's where we're at right now, where even the high status men are just having to endure this humiliation ritual, just having to get sodomized by life, and be a good sport about it, And I guess he's partly not being a good sport because he's starting to turn to this life of crime. But is it going to become a cautionary tale now? Like, oh, don't turn to crime, because crime never pays. Well, like that hardly seems to satisfy the viewer's sense of justice, or my sense of justice. Considering all the things that all the ways in which he was kicked around by circumstances. So it's a frustrating watch, but it does seem to say something that even the John Hams of the world, even the Wall Street hotshots, the hot dads of the world, the hot rich dads of the world, they're suffering too. They're in the soup just like the rest of us guys, in their own way.